At Arizona State University, we've made online education better, smarter, and more personalized so you can go further in your aspiring field.
I decided to pursue medicine once I realized that ASU did have the online program for biological sciences. You're still required to learn the same curriculum. You're still being tested on the same content that anyone would be tested on in person. The comprehensiveness of the program prepared me so well for medical school.
Explore over 300 programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Welcome back to the Basketball Show. Paul Sir, Ryan Reed joining you on this Saturday morning, and I'm pleased to bring in one of the, as I described in my opening remarks, one of the revelations on our Edmonton Stingers CEBL team, Keon Ambrose Hylton. Keon, good morning.
Good morning to you. Thank you for having me.
Well, Keon, I have to have full disclosure here. You and I had a conversation when you were on a road trip with the Stingers, but unfortunately, the internet feed broke up and we weren't able to play the interview. So I'm really pleased that you're joining us this morning live, and we're not going to have any technical problems this morning.
No, sir. I guess God made it so this will be the best opportunity. So I'm glad to be back and talking with you again.
So, Keon, we'll start with the CEBL. You are fresh off your very successful career playing NCAA Division I basketball. And my first question to you would be, with that being so recent, what's the biggest difference between playing in the CEBL and playing Division I ball?
I think it's definitely the spacing. When you go into the basketball court in college, there's a lot less openings because everyone's so far from their man and staying closer to the ball and trying to get the person away from getting to the rim. But with CEBL, with so many talented guys who can shoot the ball and make plays, the defenders are more closer to their own guys. So the player with the ball has more space to work around and get to the lane, but still everyone can guard, everyone can shoot. So there's definitely more space playing in CEBL compared to college.
What about the physical nature of the play? Is it similar, or is Division I more physical because, as you say, there's less space to work in? How would you compare the physical aspect of the two games?
That's another thing. I would say it's both, because even though guys are more close together in college, in CEBL, you go to the lane, there's someone there, they'll put you to the ground because they're trying to not make you, especially when it's target time, they will do whatever they can to make sure you do not get that point. I remember when we played Niagara, I went for an open dunk and guy just slapped my arm midway up going for the dunk. So like CEBL guys are still playing physical. You have grown men, 20, 30 years old, who are trying to take your spot because at the end of the day, every game you're putting on a performance, not just for the fans, but also to other teams. So you got to make sure you stand out and play with physicality.
I'm talking to Keon Ambrose Hylton from the Edmonton Stingers here on the Basketball Show on Sports 1440. So, Keon, when you coming from SMU, like you were not an integral part of or a focal point for their, I think it's fair to say, for their offensive schematics, but now in the CEBL playing for the Stingers, you're getting many more touches, it would seem, and many more opportunities to score in a variety of ways. Is that a fair assessment?
I would say so. I think Coach Baker, coaching staff, and my teammates, they put a lot of trust into me. And not to say that SMU didn't, but we have a different kind of play style where having me playing the five and having me playing more with these guys, they see me playing an intricate role into the offense because my motor, how I set screens, how I get to the rim, how I space out. So it helps more with the players on our team. Like Nick, he tells me all the time how I'm great at being in the right spots when he's driving to the lane. Or Sean, when I'm setting him screens, and he's doing a great job of hitting me on the rolls. Same thing with Elijah. So it's just different teams and the guys using their weaknesses and their strengths. And for my strength is moving up the court, moving around, and guys just hitting me with easy layups or even threes at one point.
The Stingers have been on a roll, Keon, and they, you have won, I think, 4 of your last 5. You're now at 500, and certainly there have been additions and some subtractions. So it's additions and subtractions to I think reformulate the lineup, and you've settled in right now. You've got Chris Smith, who gives you size and strength, I think, to back you up. And also, it's interesting, it gives you guys both the opportunity on occasion to play together. So you've got this new look. Talk about this present Stinger lineup and what you think the turnaround, what the reasons for the turnaround has been.
Yeah, we're trying to find the best guys that want to win. We are trying to find the best guys who are out for the team and for the success of Edmonton Stingers. You know, when you get subbed off, you're not looking down, you're not moping, you're not feeling like, oh, I should be taking his minutes. You're going into the bench thinking, okay, great, I put my minutes into the court. Now it's time to cheer and get ready to get back onto the court. And we have those kind of guys. Chris has always been a positive guy for our team. Whether it be shoot around, whether it be practice, whether it be the game, he's always making me laugh as well as working hard on the court, and it brings that confidence that our team needs. And not just Chris, but also Isaiah and Mike, who just came and had their first games, who were here previous year. They also bring that veteran presence as well as that leadership that we need to continue in our games and go further into the season.
One of the many things I remember about our conversation that we were not able to air, Keon, is that you were I'm not sure exactly what the title was, but a communications major in university. You have your master's. You speak very well, and I think what struck me is you think the game very well. What would you attribute your basketball IQ and understanding to?
Thank you for the flattery. Thank you for the flattery for thinking that I did communications. I did sports management for my bachelor's and then liberal studies for my master's. But communications was definitely on the table. I did do a few classes on it where we had to talk a lot and, talk to a crowd. But I think where it just came from of me knowing the game was definitely just watching a lot of basketball. I'm talking like when I was in high school and I was getting into basketball, I remember just watching endlessly highlights and basketball games of, it could be from LeBron, it could be from Michael Jordan, all the way to John Stockton, Rajon Rondo, Derek Fisher even, just to see how they played the game, or see Moses Malone. Like, I went from every era there was of watching basketball, and then even now, as I'm going to a basketball game, as I'm going to practice, as I'm grocery shopping, I'll listen to podcasts. Like, I'm a person that listens to podcasts more than music, because at this point, music is just turned me side-eye. So I listen to more podcasts of people talking about basketball. And that's what I love to hear, is people talking about basketball. That's the one thing that I know I can go endlessly about. So when it talks about pick and rolls, different situations, and even the mindset of the game, I love to hear about it, and I learn about it. And then obviously just making mistakes. Make mistakes, and you learn from it. So that's why I go on every day.
Keon Ambrose Hylton of the Edmonton Stingers joining Ryan and Paul here on the Basketball Show on Sports 1440. So, okay, let's get, I'm interested in your opinion here. What's your favorite era of the NBA?
Oh, boy. Favorite era. I got to go back to 2010s. Like, 2010s was just, for me, it was like, that's when I started loving the NBA in terms of basketball. But for the NBA, definitely 2010s. For college, 2020s, because it brought in everything, and especially even now with college basketball, because of NIL, there's so many more opportunities. But for NBA, definitely 2010s when LeBron was on the Lakers, when it was on the Miami Heat, KD was at OKC, everybody had their rivalries and stuff like that. But basketball in general, yeah, I would say 2015 to now was definitely my favorite.
And who's your favorite? Let's go pre-2000. Who's your favorite player? Like, who influenced you the most? It impressed me when you said that you watched Moses Malone, John Stockton. You threw out some names that I thought were interesting, because that is a real student of the game talking. But who's your favorite old school player?
Old school. I would have to say it would either be Hakeem because of his footwork, or bringing it back. I got two. I got Tim Duncan on this side, and then I got Kobe on the other side. because he just took bold moves when he was younger. But I would say in general, I say Hakeem, because Hakeem, he's what I want to try to have my game like. I mean, right now at the present time it's Pascal Siakam, but for in the previous years it would be Hakeem, because he did not just offense but also defense, and I take pride in that. Especially in college, I was gun-ho on watching Kevin Garnett film, watching Herb Jones, who I played with at Alabama. So it's like I love defense because I love taking on that challenge, trying to see where I'm good. Even if it's the best player, even if it's the guy with the best handles, I want to take a challenge and see where I stack with against that guy. But yeah, I would say Hakeem Olajuwon for sure.
I love the fact that you talked about Hakeem Olajuwon and his footwork, because I think people who understand the game of basketball or who have some sense of what the history of the game is all about, they hear the term Hakeem Olajuwon and his footwork. But, man, when you look at his film, it is a clinic. It is an encyclopedia. My goodness, the man's footwork was incredible. And he had a nice mid-range game. I think Hakeem is one of the old generation players who would thrive in the modern game, to be honest. I think he would have developed a three-point shot. And I look at the modern NBA and how would you guard Hakeem?
Definitely got to be physical. Can't let him get an angle on you. You can't force him either way, because if you force him either way, he'll go that way. And then once you commit, he'll turn around. So I think it's just being physical and making it off the bat a hard catch. You got to make sure you get him as far as you can away from the rim. Try to get him close to the three-point line so that he can put the ball on the floor and take a few dribbles, have the weak side stab at the ball, so you can get him to hesitate. But, yeah, make sure to keep him as far away from you can from the rim.
Well, we got a good scouting report, don't we, Keon, on how to guard Hakeem if he comes back. So you have a game coming up on Sunday against Scarborough. Scarborough, they have a winning record, but they have a couple of outstanding players. Kat Barber, for instance. What are the preparations in the Stinger practices right now for your game on Sunday?
Yeah, I think, going to every game, we have these three that we got to always make sure we lock into for each game is defensive rebounding, limiting turnovers, and limiting their points in transition. So every game that we win, we usually get those spot on. So we got to make sure we do that with this team, but also just making sure that we just kill any kind of plays they're going into, taking away that first option, and making sure that their guards don't get into a rhythm that they're capable to go 10-0 runs. So we got to make sure we can slow them down, because they like to play fast and they like to, get to the rim and make plays. So we just got to make sure we take that down and take away their best scorers.
My final question to you is, you're in the city of Edmonton. What do you think of the long nights here in the summertime?
Man, I was just thinking about that like 3 days ago. It was 8:30. And I'm on FaceTime with my girlfriend, and she's in Toronto right now. So I'm on FaceTime with her, and I'm like, oh, it's like 10:30 her time. It's like completely dark. I look outside. I'm like, dang, the sun is still out. Like, I can still see the sun on my face. And I'm like, wow, it gets long, but like I'm not mad about it, because I like a little sunshine. But yeah, it's definitely something to get used to a little bit, comparing to Toronto, where it's like I would say 7 o'clock it starts getting kind of dark. And then also in Dallas, Texas, I would say like 7 o'clock, 6:40 starts getting a little dim, little sunset. But I'm not mad. But yeah, it's definitely something to get used to. But I like Edmonton overall. The people, the city, how lively it gets, especially for sports. Even now, I got people today talking about, oh, you're Edmonton Stingers. We are great fans. We love basketball. And it's just a great overall environment here in Edmonton.
I'm glad you're having a good time, Keon. We're certainly enjoying having you here. And by the way, how many threes did you take in college?
In college and overall, or just last year?
Last year.
Last year, I think anywhere from 10, I don't know, maybe like 8 to 12, somewhere in there.
Okay. I love to see you stepping out and taking the three in, when you have that opening, and the fact that you mentioned something earlier, that you have the confidence of your teammates and your coaching staff to be able to step out and do that, because you obviously can do that. And it's been a lot of fun watching you so far. Can't wait for the rest of the season, and certainly everybody Come to the game on Sunday. You will never regret being at a Stingers game if you've never been before. Make it a priority. It's great basketball, and players like Keon Ambrose Hylton are the reason it is great basketball. It's a wonderful atmosphere. So go to the Stingers website, get your tickets, come on out and enjoy. Keon, thanks so much for joining us this morning, and we'll look forward to watching you on Sunday.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I enjoyed my time with you.
Likewise. Keon Ambrose Hylton, starting center for the Edmonton Stingers, joining us on the basketball show on Sports 1440. When we come back, Ryan and I are going to do a deep dive into the NBA draft that took place this week, and we're going to set the table for when we have Ryan Wolstadt from the Toronto Sun on later in the program to talk about the moves by the Toronto Raptors. You're listening to the basketball show on your sports leader, Sports 1440.